Hey beautiful people, my name is Amin, my pronouns are he, him. I am a black, queer, trans, neuroexpansive, disabled, mad, COVID conscious, world traveler, and migrant. And I'm here to answer a question specifically from a subscriber, which I'm actually excited to answer. Hold on one second. This is from Almeta's grandbaby. Almetas. Let me know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. They said, thanks for sharing. I'm interested in knowing what your COVID consciousness looks like while traveling. No pressure for perfection, just interested in your perspective. And I'm going to break this video down in 3 parts. First and foremost, I'm going to share the precautions I do take and what that looks like. Second, I'm going to share why I'm COVID conscious, especially during traveling. And third, I'm going to share some of my own mistakes and ways I have changed and also become more radicalized in my journey of being COVID conscious. And I think possibly we'll create a longer video or a separate video where I talk about just my COVID conscious journey in general and how it's evolved. So if this sounds good or the latter sounds good, let me know down below and let's get into it. And make sure if you like this video at the end, make sure you give it a good like. If this resonates with you, make sure you let me know down below in the comments. And feel free to subscribe if you want to join this journey with me. Okay, so let's get into it. First and foremost, precautions I take. So currently the precautions I take when traveling is, how do I break this down? So I'm masked with a KN95 or higher at all times when I'm in public. So basically what that means is, and the few exceptions, I'll explain those. Basically what that means, if I'm on a plane, if I'm like day-to-day life, like if whatever I'm doing, like if I'm around people that are not in my pod, and my pod changes depending on where I am and things like that. Right now my pod is like my housemates, like the people I'm sharing a house with. We all have a similar level of like COVID consciousness, so we are unmasked around each other, but we also do not unmask without taking precautions around people outside of us, whether that be testing, the people we hang out with being masked, or like things like that. Anyway, while traveling, I mask, I test, both rapids and PCR. If I'm not feeling well, I will make sure to test, either if I can and have the resources, twice with a rapid. And now that I have a Plus Life, which a Plus Life is a NAAT test, also kind of like very similar to a PCR test, where you get very accurate results of, I think, up to 98% accuracy. I don't want to get this wrong. And then, let me look it up. And then for rapid test accuracy. So let's see. So it says recent research has found multiple commonly used rapid antigen tests now have diagnostic sensitivities below 30%, with sensitivities at a near 0% the first 48 hours of infection. Using PCR test positivity as a good gold standard. So yeah, I'm going to screenshot that and put it on here. This is from, let me see. This is where I'm reading this from. And this is from an abstract from the National Library of Medicine. But I'll put a screenshot and a link to it in the description. Let me take the screenshot now before I forget. Another COVID consciousness procedure I do is just having conversations about COVID, kind of disrupting the norms of like just like bringing it up and like when people want to hang out with me. So like something will happen is like people I meet traveling, they want to like, oh, like let's go get something to eat, and I explain to them like, okay, like I'm open to that. I'll explain like, yeah, I'm open to that, but I don't eat outdoor. I don't eat indoors at indoor restaurants and things like that. What else? So yeah, testing, masking, having conversations. The other thing I try to do is like limit my exposure. So like I don't really go to like, I haven't been to a concert in some years. I haven't gone to the movie theater in some years. I think last time I went to the movie theater was like the AminahKing premiere, but I was masked. And yeah, it's been the first time I've been to a movie theater in a minute. I don't go to concerts, like, I think the next thing I would go is a big crowded event would probably be a festival, but it's another thing. Other things I do is utilize CBC mouthwash, but I don't do that consistently enough to where I would consider it a precaution, but I know that it is something I do. I try to stay up to date on what's going on with COVID. I think also too is like just having certain boundaries around it and communicating those. I'm forgetting one. Also, here's the thing, and this is where the intersection of having the access to funds and resources and being COVID conscious sometimes can conflict, is because sometimes it's not easy to be COVID conscious. So, for example, I was living in Mexico. It was very hard sometimes to find 3M93 to find N95 masks or quality K95 masks. And so I had to lean on either like mask distros or like buying bulk orders of masks and things like that, which I'm grateful I was able to do. But like those things cost money, and some of those things I was only possible because I was sent it from a mask distro, or someone sent it for free, or someone helped me pay for it. Someone in my community helped me to get those things. Same thing with my Plus Life. Like it's something that's like really nice to have now, and I'm really grateful for. And I think offers me a level of peace of mind that I did not have before. And also, like, I understand that's a privilege, and like it's only because someone in the community I'm in community with like had the funds and like bought it for me, and I'm really grateful for that. What else? There's something else I'm forgetting. So like there's also the layer of like when I was in Japan, there's times I was staying in hostels, and that's literally all I could afford. It was either hostel or internet cafe or on the street. And so I chose to stay in hostels. Now what I did was try to find hostels where it's the least amount of people. The least I was usually able to find was 4. And I would put in my note that like, hey, for health reasons, please put me in the room with the least amount of people. Luckily that worked out. There's only, I think, 2 or 3 times I stayed at a hostel while I was in Japan when the room was full. 2 or 3 like nights out of all the nights. And most of the nights I had to spend in hostels because my laptop got left in LAX, the whole thing, and I didn't have money to stay anywhere else. And so every day was a risk. Every day was an exposure. And still when I went out and about everywhere, I wore my mask. And I also was at a lot of contention of like, okay, like how much can I really prevent this? And like had to like have a lot of conversations with myself of what that actually looked like. There was one night that like I was a bit worried, and I did sleep with my mask on, and I woke up not feeling the best, but luckily I wound up, everything turned out being okay. So I say all these things, it's not perfect. The next thing I'll share is like why I'm COVID conscious, especially during travel. First and foremost, I like to say this, like it's like funny, but also it's so real. Like going around spreading viruses and disease and like illnesses, that's colonizer behavior. Like to travel the world and like not have any consideration of like how your presence is impacting that space, I think is colonistic. Like, and as I'm trying to liberate myself in the ways I show up in the world, it feels important to do the simple things like wearing a mask, like at the very least when I'm on a plane, when I'm on public transit, because the reality is as a traveler, I pose more risk to the people and the communities I'm entering, especially if I'm entering vulnerable or indigenous or just like spaces and places where there are vulnerable folks. And vulnerability means so many things. That's important to think about to me. Also, like travel is one of the most high risk things we can do. During travel, we're exposed to thousands and hundreds of people, especially on a plane, the things we touch, the things we're breathing. And the thing is, COVID is airborne. So it's like, there's no way of evading it. Like I can't choose which air particles I breathe in. So the best thing I can do is mask with a high filtration and high quality and well fitted N95 or KN95 or better if I have access to it. I haven't had opportunity to try anything better than those. Other reasons, I don't want to get COVID again. That would be horrible. Also, a lot of times when I'm traveling, I don't always have everything I need. I have been a traveler where like I'm traveling with the bare bones. So it's like if I don't have travel insurance or a lot of money or a lot of resources and stuff like that, I really can't afford to be again walking around getting sick. And COVID is a mass disabling event. It is causing disabilities in so many parts of folks' bodies and causing so many things. And I know the one COVID infection I'm aware of that I've had, based on testing, was horrible. I never want to experience that again. I don't want to allow or make someone else experience that again or at all. And it changed me for the rest of my life. It disabled me. I have long COVID and it's impacted my life greatly. Okay, let's wrap this up. Mistakes and how I've changed and or become more radicalized. Disability is the one thing that will touch every single person on this earth. Either you will become disabled by circumstance, by accident, by you were born with a disability or develop a disability, or you become disabled by age, or you will die before it happens. So disability really is this centered thing that I feel like all of us need to be invested in. And I think, unfortunately, becoming disabled and also being in COVID conscious spaces virtually really helped me to realize, like, not only like why it's important to be COVID conscious, but realize why it was so difficult. The first year, like as many of y'all knew, I left the United States back in September 2020. That was during that time where like COVID was like, people were like, okay, we think things are about to go back to normal, right before like winter hit and everything shut back down and everyone was like, what the fuck? Like, yeah. I left in that like lull phase where I was just like, okay, we think things are getting better, like, yeah. And I felt so much safer abroad in regards to COVID than in the U.S. And I've made a lot of mistakes, and some of it was from lack of information. I would say, like, if I'm being honest, I feel like the least 2 to 3 years of this pandemic, there's a lot of like lack of information. It was very hard to access information. A lot of people weren't talking about it. A lot of people weren't talking about it to, I think, the extent that was needed and necessary to be talking about COVID. And so, like, while I will say I've always been masking, I have engaged in risky things that I would not engage in now, or I would engage in with a lot more intentionality, a lot more risk assessment, and a lot more awareness of what the risk or potential exposure would be by me doing those things. Like, I was masked, but I would go to the club, but I'll be masked, like, in, like, 2022. Or I would go out with people, or I would, like, go places and go out with people and, like, put my mask down, or, like, take my mask off at times, or, like, drink with people that are not COVID conscious. So, like, just things like that, or just be around people, or go to hostels and not really, like, I would be in the back of my mind, but, like, it really wasn't something I was standing on business about. And I don't hold any shame for myself with that, because, like, once I knew better, I did better. And that's an important thing to me, is, like, you know, I can't judge myself based on what I didn't know, but what I can judge is, like, once I was confronted or presented with better or more thorough information, what did I do with that information? And for me, I changed my behaviors. So it has made me realize, like, how much solidarity is important to have with the disability community, how much this is an investment in all of us. I fully understand that, like, me masking day to day is my own care, but also I'm taking care of other people around me, because in the slim chance that I'm asymptomatic or I do have COVID, I'm protecting other people around me. And even though if I'm the only person in the room masking, that makes a difference to me. And those moments when I see other people masking, or I don't know, I found out, like, a lot of people are sick or whatever. And like the other thing I used to do, which is interesting, is I would take my mask off just to take pictures. Like I'll be masked up like the whole like tour or whatever I'm doing, and then I'll take my mask off to take photos because I thought that would make them more aesthetic. That's not some shit I'm doing now. 16. I saw 15 earlier too. And so now I'm like, no, like I want people to see me traveling, see me going to these beautiful places, and wearing my mask. So I don't know. It's been really interesting, and it's also taught me a lot about my relationship to comfort. Because if I'm not masking, if I'm not willing to make some of these sacrifices to keep myself and others safe, then what does that say about me, my ethics, or not ethics, but just my values? And what does that say? What am I communicating through those actions to other people and to myself? So I'll definitely say that it is incredibly hard to be COVID conscious by yourself. I did do it. I have been the only person masked in so many situations and countries. 9 countries to be exact. I've been the only person in a room, in a crowd, on a bus, on a plane with a mask. And it's not comfortable, and it's not nice, and it's just horrible. 17. And to me, it feels worth it. It feels worth it. So I'm coming to you saying like it's not easy to do by yourself, and having community and connecting with the COVID conscious community, finding out what information is out there, finding out what is possible and why people do the things they do and how they're taking care of people and what resources are out there and what information is out there. It helps so much. And also just to have people talk about it and like know you're not alone helps so fucking much about it. So I would love at some point to create some type of travels, like COVID conscious, like space where people can talk about it. But that's a whole nother conversation because I don't know if I would want to do it with people. Also, something new about me, or not new, but like something I've solidified more in me is that like I'm not cultivating or creating intentional or intimate relationships with white people anymore in my life. I've lived in so many places where I've seen little to no white people. I've been in places where it's like the people, the global majority, where white people are the minority. And I've been in spaces where white people are not present. And I think that has also radicalized me and shown me like, you know, if I were to say a North Star or like a value or goal of mine is liberation, I know whiteness is not going to lead us there. And I don't, honestly, I'm still trying to figure out what is the relationship I want to have to whiteness, white people, so on and so forth. And right now, just like, I know that the things I want to learn and expand in lie in indigeneity and lie in blackness and lie in so many things. And I want to lean into those things and center those things in what I'm learning and what I'm practicing and who I'm becoming. 1919. Anyway, I'm going to look up all these numbers. So yeah, that was a little bit of a share about my COVID consciousness. Feel free to drop any other questions. I might try to like, hopefully like I dropped like some good information, and I'll make sure I'll try to put some pictures and stuff like that throughout this, so you guys can have visuals as well. And drop down any other questions. Thank you so much for being here with me and going on this journey of life with me. It's been wild. It's been wild, but I'm grateful to be able to share it. And what else? I also just wanted to say that I want to send some grace to everyone that if you are struggling with COVID consciousness and you're trying to figure out how to start masking, things like that, I will leave some different resources and things you can check out down below in the comments or in the description. And I just want to say this really, I feel like an important part of COVID consciousness is community. So if you can find community, if you can find folks to connect with and help you and support you on this journey, it will make the worlds of a difference. What you're trying to do, if you are trying to mask and trying to radicalize and trying to center these things, is not easy. And I'm proud of you for trying, and that's important. And also know that it's 3:33 here. And I'm super grateful for the way folks have helped me and held me in that process of learning and unlearning, and both the grace but also opportunities to hold myself accountable have been really beautiful. Thank you for the space to be real, to be me, and to be human. And I'll see y'all on the internet. Make sure you subscribe. Peace. 2020.